If you've been playing the clarinet for any length of time, you've had water in one of your holes. That is quite frustrating because, as you heard, an otherwise beautiful solo, I think, gets ruined by the fact that your clarinet will either have a gurgly sound or it's just going to be resistant and squeak because you've got water in your hole. In this particular instance, my B flat, this one, was ruined by the fact that I've got water in my A hole here. And that's a problem. How are we going to fix it? Let me show you. There are a couple solutions to it, but even better than that, there's ways to mitigate and potentially prevent it from ever happening. The first thing we've got to do is identify what hole we're having a problem with. The main holes we have a problem with, in my history on the clarinet, is the A, the G sharp, the G sharp down here, the C sharp, G sharp, and the side B flat. These will all tend to get water in the holes. And that particular solo you just heard is at the end of the Broadway show Wicked. And you're basically by yourself. And you are using 3 notes that tend to have water in the holes. And it's tough at the end of the show. You're tired, you're by yourself, and there's nowhere to hide. And the last thing you want is water in your hole. So here's what you're going to do if you have water in your hole. You're going to grab a piece of cigarette paper. Now, this is available on Amazon. I can put some links down in the description for you. But also at your local bodega is what we call them in New York City. But, at your convenience store, any place. It can feel a little bit weird to be buying cigarette paper because it feels like you're going to do something other than clean your tone holes out. But don't worry about it. Just get it. Make sure you get the non-gummy cigarette paper. There's some that evidently they stick. There's glue on them. Do not get the ones with glue on them. I think it's called non-gummy. What I have in my hand is actually called powder paper. I think it's a Yamaha product. I'll put that in the description too. And what we want to do is take this, open up the key, and slide this paper underneath the tone hole. Let it close. And then open, close, open, close, open, close. Move it around a little bit. And you'll see there is a little wet spot the size of my tone hole. And now this is somewhat of a solution, but I gotta tell you, not a great one. After I did that, if I had the time in the performance, I would swab out immediately. And based on our last video, talking to Melanie Wong, swab from the barrel. That's going to hold you for a little while, but it's not going to be great. Now, here's the thing. What if you don't have time to do that? You're at the performance. You've identified there's water in an important key. What do? There's really only one choice, and it's a bad choice. And that's to take it, open up the key, get your face right in there, and blow as hard as you can right in that hole. And here's what it's going to do. It's going to knock that water out. Again, only temporarily, but it might get you through that solo or that passage. But here's also what it's going to do. It's going to irritate everybody around you, potentially the conductor. It's very loud. Let me do it one more time, because remember, this is not a short thing. We're not sucking in. We're blowing. You're trying to blow that water out. You put it right up there and you go, and that is the last ditch. Got to get this water out of the key because it's in an important solo move. That is the last resort. Don't go right to that. And then after you did that, you would also swab. If you have time, here's what you can do. I'll put this down over here. You can take your instrument. If it's the top joint, if it's these keys that we're used to, the G sharp, B flat, let me call them the right things. The C sharp, G sharp, the E flat, B flat, or the A and G sharp. You just take your finger, you plug the hole up. So if you blow, nothing happens. There's a lot of compression in the instrument. You just tap those keys with that high compression in there. And don't leave the keys open for very long. Just tap on them. That water gets blown right out. But again, this takes time, and it's a little loud. These are not great solutions. And again, after you do any of these, you should swab, because that's going to actually go to the core of the problem, which is there's water running down your instrument. Those are the three solutions when you find yourself in this position, and you will, no matter what you do. But let's talk about how to prevent yourself from being in this situation. The first and most important thing we can do is swab preemptively. So before you need to swab out. When I am playing a concert or at a show, I will swab every 5 minutes if I can, or even more frequently than that, depending on if I know I've got something to play with a high stress key involved in it. I play it cool, but I swab like a maniac. I swab frequently, but calmly while I do it, but frequently. That's the most important thing that you can do, is swab before you need to. Because once the water gets in your hole, it's too late. And the water's always going to be in your key at exactly the wrong time, where everybody hears it and it sounds bad. The next things we can do are probably just good ideas in terms of playing the clarinet. Don't drink while you play the clarinet. And when I say don't drink, I don't mean don't drink alcohol. You shouldn't do it, but that's not what I'm talking about. Don't drink coffee. Don't drink water. Don't drink soda. That's just going to make things worse. The other thing that you can't do, well, you can, but you shouldn't, is eat right before you play. That is going to get the digestive system activated inside your mouth, where those enzymes are going. It's going to be doing a lot of stuff. It is much more likely you're going to get condensation in your instrument when you do that. Don't drink while you're playing. Don't eat before you play. And then there is one more thing that you can do. And again, this is something that seems a little bit yucky, but it's not actually. Because keep in mind, this is not really spit. It is condensation. And what we can do to help that is when we have the instrument in our mouth, we got a spare second at the concert or in our practice, wherever it is. Put the instrument in your mouth and you suck back. But not like a long one. A short one. Boom. Hard and short. Boom. And that's going to take some of the condensation off your reed, because that rolls down into the clarinet. And that's not particularly helpful. My experience, and I just want to say this, people have told me I'm not right about this, but that's never going to stop me from saying what I believe. And that is a synthetic reed does create a little bit more of a challenge with this, because there is a certain amount of absorption that a cane reed does. So it will be taking in a little bit of this condensation and sucking it up. A synthetic reed, it just pours right down your instrument, which I really believe causes a lot more of the water being in your holes. That was my experience when I played them. That was one of the things I don't like about playing them. Other people have told me that that's ridiculous. I still believe it. Swab frequently. Preemptively. Don't eat before you play. Don't drink while you're playing, and a lot. And that's going to stop this from happening. But that being said, you should pretty much always have cigarette paper or this powder paper available to you while you are at your concert, in your rehearsal, wherever it is. Probably close by when you're practicing too, because when we are practicing, at least for me, I don't swab out as much as I should. And I end up with the waters in my hole. Way better. The water in the hole is going to ruin it. It's going to ruin it for you. And I'm sure it's happened to you already. That's how to fix it and how to prevent it.